Hey, this is Mark with The Dish and Dine Digital. Thanks for joining the show today. And if you don't know who we offer services for the restaurant industry. And right now, we're doing our best to help them during this time by doing this show here, The Dish, where we let restaurant owners and chefs and GMs come on and tell their story. And we're glad to do that. And today we have a special guest from the West Coast. His name is also Mark. I'm going to introduce him right now. How you doing, Mark?
How are you? I'm good.
Excellent. So, like I said, we had a little bit of a hiccup getting you on, but you are here and we're glad to have you. And you have a wonderful background there. We like the color purple.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll go ahead and tell us about, well, I never got a chance. Is it Mago? Is that the correct pronunciation?
It's Mago.
Very nice. So,
yeah.
Kind of tell us the story about Mago.
So Mago is a relatively new restaurant. We opened June of 2019. So I guess we're like almost 9 months old now. We're a neighborhood bistro, 40 seats, menu changes every week. Yeah, it's inventive food, but it's also meant to be neighborhoody. So we don't try to do things too crazy here. We try to keep a lot of seats available for walk-ins for our neighbors. Cocktail, natural wines. Yeah.
Very cool. Very nice. And so kind of following that up, the restaurant's pretty new, but you're not new to the industry. So give us a little bit of your story, how you got into the restaurant industry.
I started pretty young. I started cooking. I started getting commercial kitchens when I was 15, washing dishes like most other chefs and cooks, they do. And then I worked there for about 2 or 3 years. After high school, I decided to go to CIA in New York. And then after that, I just kind of like got the bug of cooking. I've been cooking since then. I've worked in Paris, Las Vegas, New York City, San Francisco. I think that's it. Oh, Florida. I worked in Florida for a little while too. Before I had Mago, I was a chef partner of a few restaurants in San Francisco. Mainly AQ was the flagship. That was like our fine dining tasting menu restaurant. And then we had 3 other restaurants in the restaurant group, and we closed everything in 2017 for various reasons. And I took 2 years off, not knowing what I wanted to do. If I wanted to open another restaurant or if I wanted to do something completely different. And after 2 years of thinking about it, I decided I wanted to open another restaurant because I missed cooking for people in that setting.
Very cool. Very nice. Yeah, you had been introduced to me via Kim Alter in the San Francisco area. Of course, I believe you're in Oakland, right? So
yeah,
run similar circles.
Yeah, it's a pretty small industry, I feel, especially in the Bay Area. But I mean, I feel like most cities, if you're a chef or a cook, you know a lot of other chefs and cooks. Yeah. But I've known Kim for a long time, and yeah, she suggested I reach out to you and get on your podcast.
Yeah, we're glad that she did, and good to start talking with you. It's awesome. So when people come, I would always kind of couch this right now under normal circumstances. What would they expect when they come to visit you guys?
So the restaurant has a very big open kitchen. For me, like I've been enamored with open kitchens for a long time. I don't like, after working in closed kitchens for most of my career, I like being able to talk to the guests and see the guests and interact with guests. And a big part of opening a new restaurant was having the kitchen be a big focal part of the restaurant. So the kitchen almost takes up probably 30% of the dining room. There's counters sitting around it. The guests interact with the cooks a lot. The cooks drop off a lot of the food. The cooks take some of the orders. So there's a lot of guest interaction with the kitchen team, which I wanted to really make that part of the restaurant experience. Other than that, though, like the menu changes, it was changing every week. I'm not sure what it's going to look like once we reopen our dining room, with how that's going to be different. And also, like, we were always big on family style food. And I don't know if that's going to be the same also after we reopen the dining room. But that's kind of like our niche, was always kind of like doing interesting food, really focused on seasonality, working with small farms, which to some point is cliche these days, but we really wanted to like really like work with small farms and really like spend the time. It's a little bit more work on our end to like deal with small farmers. But number one, it allows us to like support them on a weekly basis, but also the reality is usually they have like the best products. Like their stuff tastes the best.
Right.
So that's always been really important to our ethos is working with small purveyors, whether it's our spirits. We use a lot of local like distilleries that distill whiskeys for us, gins, and then we also use all local beer. It's never been our ethos to be super local. Like we buy cheese from global markets because I believe cheese is delicious from everywhere, and our wine list is also super international. But it is all from small producers. That to me is important. But it's not super important for me to like be only from Northern California per se.
Right. Sure. You kind of covered it to a certain extent, but is there anything else that you can highlight that makes you unique in what you guys are doing?
I mean, we do a lot of we have a wood fire grill, so we do a lot of wood fire cooking, which some people assume is just like a steak, and sometimes we do steaks, but we do a lot of vegetable cookery, and we do a lot of things where it's smoking or cooking things in coals to develop those flavors. Mm-hmm. So I think we do a lot of this stuff with wood smoke and wood aromas. But we try to do is use them in a nuanced flavor, so it's not just like aggressively everything grilled and charred.
On your typical menu that you would have, maybe not typical because you say change it seasonally, but is there something that you have on a regular basis that when guests come in that you think they should definitely try out?
I don't actually, because we change the menu pretty frequently.
Yeah.
And there's some dishes that hang out longer because people enjoy them, and the reality is like if something's in season for X amount of time, I'm not going to change the dish just because I said I would change the menu every week. For example, like last summer we had soft shell crabs, and we had a really popular soft shell crab dish, and we ran it until soft shell crabs were pretty much done. And then people still call me and they're like, "You have soft shell crab?" I'm like, "No, it's December. There's no soft shell crabs."
So that's exactly like how McDonald's does the McRib, right? You know, there's only so many weeks out of the year the McRibs in.
Yeah. So I don't think we really, from the beginning, we really try to tell our guests that the menu does change.
Right.
And to me, it makes sense for our restaurant to not necessarily have a signature dish. We do like a lot of pasta. So we always have like things that fit a category. We always do 2 or 3 different pastas. We always do something off the grill. We always do a lot of vegetable dishes. Mm-hmm. That aren't necessarily vegetarian by nature, but sometimes they're just vegetable focused. Sometimes they get finished with like a beef sauce. But we do a lot of things that are vegetable focused, which I think people identify with us now that we do a lot of vegetable cookery. Sure. But yeah, like we don't really have a signature dish per se that like it's constantly changing. We always do a lot of cheeses. Cheese program is important for us. But again, the cheese program is also seasonal for us, and we always try to like let guests know that cheeses are seasonal. Like there's certain cheeses that are available in the spring. Obviously, you can get most cheeses all year round, but there's some that peak in different parts of the year, and so we try to like showcase those cheeses and their seasonalities.
Right. So just as a follow-up, and with the type of menu that you're providing, is that something that next year at this time will be kind of the same, or are you doing completely different menus from year to year?
There's some dishes we sometimes revisit. I mean, we've only been open for 9 months, so it's hard to like say. But there already are some dishes that people ask us about, and if it's tomato season, we do the same tomato salad. And to be honest, we probably will do some riffs off of like dishes we've done in the past. Like trying to be like a neighborhood restaurant is part of our ethos, and so like it is important. If someone really likes this dish, maybe we'll bring it back for a little bit and not necessarily retire everything. But we are also trying to like be forward thinking, and yes, asparagus comes every spring, and I don't always want to do the same thing with asparagus every year. Even though like asparagus, egg, and brown butter is like super delicious. And sometimes we'll do a dish like that. But the thing with us, we might do asparagus and brown butter and egg on one week, and the next week we'll do a totally different dish with asparagus the following week. So it does give us a lot of flexibility to change things up, and I think our guests understand that now. In the beginning, it was a little bit more of a challenge. People would come in and they'd want the same pasta they had the day before or the week before, and we're like, oh, that's gone.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's because we also run out of like our mise en place. Like we buy small stuff, so small purveyors, and if someone had nettles for a week and we bought all their nettles and they don't have nettles the following week, like we can't really do the same dish. We have to like kind of morph into something else.
Sure. So another question that kind of came off the back end of your explaining all that. So what percentage of your time would you say is spent planning the menus and what you're going to be doing in the week?
So I think when we first opened, I really tried to structure. I worked in restaurants where we changed the menu more like 4 seasons, like fall, winter, and I've done a little bit more structure with that because it's easier to plan. Like in spring, these are what we're gonna change. It actually proved to be a lot more difficult to change the weekly menu in that structure. So we actually like went to a little bit more of a spontaneous style of writing the menu. Just because like everything changes every week, it was hard to like plan. The thing we do plan is we plan like our proteins. So we'll have a lot of discussions with like our lamb guy and like, okay, we're gonna get like 3 lambs and we'll get them like in 3 weeks from now. So we kind of know like we're gonna have lamb coming in or we know we have pig coming in. So like that was something we were able to plan, but produce was really hard, and fish is also really difficult to like plan like that far out for us. So now we've kind of like, we used to have like this big dry erase board that I would write down everything that was coming in spring and what our purveyors had. And I took it down because like, honestly, like I wasn't using it and I wasn't working in that structure. And so now it's a little bit more of a spontaneous menu. We still like write recipes and things for those dishes. And we have like, I've been cooking for a long time, so I have a lot of recipes from other restaurants. So I'm able to like riff off of old recipes and, but yeah, it's become a little bit more of a spontaneous style of menu where we kind of just get stuff from the farmers and look at it and taste it and decide what we're going to do at that point.
Yeah, it's very interesting the way that you're doing things. So cool.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit more difficult, I guess. But for me, it's a bit more natural to cook that way. Like that's how I cook at home. Like I don't like read a recipe and then go to the store and try to find what's at the store for that recipe. I usually just go to the market and see like pork belly or something or pork shoulder. I'm like, okay, let's make pork shoulder, and then I kind of like go from there.
Yeah.
See what I'm making at home. So it's the same way I cook at a restaurant, I guess, but on a much larger scale.
Yeah, I hear that. So when people come from out of town and they're visiting the area, besides stopping at Mago, what else would you advise them to take part of?
We have a cocktail bar. So our cocktail bar, the cocktails don't change as often as the food menu, but it's very focused on kind of trying to do interesting things with cocktails. Like as much as I love Manhattans and all those things, like we always can make a really delicious classical Manhattan, but I want to do something different than just a classical Manhattan. So we do a lot of things with infusions. We make our own Campari, we make our own Amaros. So there's a lot of interesting things happening in the cocktail bar side of things. And the wine list is also, like I say, it's primarily natural wines, or organic wines, or it's also just small purveyor or small winemakers that we like to work with.
Yeah. So when they're in Oakland, right? You're somebody from out of town. What kind of stuff can they see and do while they're in town?
Oh, there's lots of stuff to do in Oakland. Obviously San Francisco's really close by if you want to go to the city. But in Oakland, there's one thing I think that's super underrated is the Oakland Hills or even the Berkeley Hills. There's a lot of beautiful hiking up there. And it's actually very close to like the city. So like if someone's coming in, they can drive up the hills and it's like probably a 20-minute drive. And it's really nice to like, you can oversee like the whole, the bay, and you can see San Francisco. But it's pretty beautiful up there. I do a lot of foraging up there actually too. So that's really nice. So there's a really dynamic food scene right now in Oakland, I think. I don't want to say it's better than San Francisco, but I think it's it's more interesting, I think, for various reasons. But there's some really good small restaurants that are doing some really, really good food. And there's also some really good museums also in Oakland. There's like the California Museum in downtown Oakland. And there's also Roland Science up in the Berkeley Hills, which is also a pretty nice museum.
Turn to the page a little bit for somebody that is thinking to start a restaurant. What kind of wisdom would you impart to them?
So this is my first restaurant that I did on my own. I've been chef partner of a few restaurants, but when I was chef partner, I kind of just focused on the chefing part of it. I didn't have to deal with everything. And so I thought I had a good grasp of like opening restaurants because I'd done so many. This is probably like my 7th restaurant opening. And it was honestly quite the eye-opening experience to have to like deal with the city and dealing with construction and contractors and permitting and all that stuff. And I kind of took all that on myself. I didn't have a design team. I do design work myself. So it was definitely doable, but it was definitely, I relied on some of my old mentors when I like hit like roadblocks and just kind of like reached out to anyone that I had ever worked with that had open restaurants and asked them a lot of questions. So I think if you're going to open your own restaurant, I think it's really, number one is to have like a sound business plan that is actually, I think a lot of business plans sometimes are like filled with not realistic numbers because it looks good to investors that you're going to like do like $3 million the first year and da-da-da-da. But the reality is like, I think you should have like a realistic business plan that actually like you forecast what you think you're actually going to do. So ours was actually pretty under budget. Like we forecasted pretty under, just the hopes that we were going to do a lot better. And we did a lot better from the first 9 months. But it allowed us to like not overspend. So I stuck to like a pretty strict budget. I think it's very easy to like get tangled up with like light fixtures and all these things that like cost a lot of money. And yes, we did spend a good amount of money on light fixtures, but we cost in other places. And so like a lot of things I wanted to get, like I just didn't have the money to get. And I could have not easily, but I could have probably reached out and tried to raise more money. But I was also, I didn't want the restaurant to be owned by a bunch of investors.
Right.
And so it was important for me to like have a small group of investors that believed in what we were doing, but not have like 300 investors that like had a hand in the pot. And I only owned like 40% of the restaurant. Especially in the Bay Area, like I see like a lot of restaurants that open and they spend $2 million on a build out. And to me, it's like very hard to like understand. Like I understand like why it costs so much, and I understand like where things like nice things cost a lot. Like if you want really nice wood and everything. So for me, like I set a strict budget, but I also like I looked for a turnkey restaurant as well. So I found a space that was a pizza space that allowed me to kind of like flip it. And obviously, like I thought it was gonna be cheaper because it was a pizza restaurant, but I ran into all sorts of issues as most people do with electrical and plumbing and stuff that's out of date. But it still cost me a percentage of like what full build out would have cost.
Sure.
And time, like one of the things in the Bay Area or in most big cities, like permitting takes a long time.
Sure.
So the fact that this is already a restaurant, like it sped up the process a lot.
Right. So if you could change anything about the industry, what would it be for restaurants?
I think there's a lot. I think honestly, COVID-19 opened a lot of those doors for us to look at what needs to change. I think for me, one of the biggest things is that restaurants operate on this super thin margin of profit. And I think it's always just been that way for a long time, but I think it needs to change. And I think the fact that like so many of my restaurant friends have had to close their doors and they have like no money at all, like left in the bank is a sign. And they were like, busy restaurants. It's not like they were like not busy, like they're busy, but like restaurants are such a cash flow business that like if you have no cash coming in, like you're just like your bank account's drained. And I think that's something that to look at as far as like how, I don't know how to change that. Maybe it means, changing the structure of how we're taxed. Maybe it means charging more money for our products that we offer. So I don't know what the solution to it is, but it definitely like opened, I think my eyes to that the fact that our profit margin is always like 2 or 3%, when some restaurants are doing like $2 million or $3 million a year, and they only have like 1% of that in the bank account is shocking.
Yeah.
I think the other thing for me is also one of the things I try to do, and I'm still working on it, is the discrepancy between the back and the front of the house. I think we've created a nice utopic. There's no fighting between front and back here at the restaurant, so that is good. But there's still a little bit of wage discrepancies. And someone that I come from the back of the house, so I've never like really been that person that like bitched and moaned about like the servers making a lot of money, because I like cooking and it's just the way it is. But I feel, especially nowadays, it needs to be a little bit more evened out. Especially when the back of the house puts so much work into what they do. Not that to say the servers don't put a lot of work in, or the front of the house, but I think it should be a little bit more equally distributed, the funds. I don't know. I'm sure there's 100 other things I want to change about the industry.
Yeah. Kim had mentioned, we spoke about her earlier. She has some of the same points as far as the margins and the value of what you guys prepare, and having customers realize, how much is put into it to, be able to pay for,
Yeah, well, I think people want us to like pay everyone living wage, and they want us to serve organic food, and they want us to do all these things, but they also don't understand that the costs involved. I think sometimes they just see like this tomato costs, what it costs. How come you're charging me $14 for this tomato salad? And they don't understand like everything that goes into making the tomato salad, not from just like the labor involved, but also like the costs involved in keeping the lights on in the restaurant. Like all that has to be put into like that tomato salad. Right. Not to mention the labor. Labor is our number one expense at the restaurant, because even before like minimum wage went up, I was already paying people higher minimum wage. So minimum wage, our payroll has always been pretty high. But I've also been trying to like not charge too much for our food. So it's been a fine balance between that. So I think it's one of the things that I'm looking at as far as moving forward. Maybe like I have to charge a little bit more money for things. And I'm fine being, transparent with guests about like, maybe it means showing them a P&L statement and being like, this is what it costs to like operate a restaurant. And we're not trying to like, I'm trying to nickel and dime anyone. Like, I'm not like, I think most restaurateurs are not trying to be millionaires off of a restaurant. I think they're doing it because they really enjoy what they do. They enjoy working with their team. They enjoy serving guests. And I think we want to make money, but it's not an industry where you make millions of dollars in profit.
What do you love most about being a restaurateur?
I love the creativity behind it. Especially like it's one of the reasons I didn't want to work for someone else. So I thought about that when I was not working for 2 years, I was like, I can just go work for someone else, just be a chef and just make food and probably make more money. But I don't really like people. I wanted to do my own food, and I didn't want to be stifled by like having to have like salmon on the menu all year round, or like I had to have this Caesar salad. Like I really wanted to just have the creativity to like do what I wanted to do. And that to me is like the biggest joy, I guess, is being able to just like go to the market and see like beautiful strawberries and like make a dish for those strawberries out of the strawberries. That to me is like what excited me when I first started cooking, and it still excites me to say like, yeah, I think that's the best. And I think having the open kitchen and seeing guests like response to this food makes it even better. And I see it also with like some of the young cooks that have never worked in open kitchens, and they like get to see like they get to make like a dish for a guest, and the guests eat it, and the guest is like tells them right up that like this is a fucking amazing dish. You can see like in the young cooks like eyes that like there's like that's an amazing thing that can happen. So I think that to me is like the best part of being a restaurateur. And then also I get to work with some amazing people. Like the team we have at Mägo is like they're all pretty awesome. So it's that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great. So obviously, I'm sure your operations are a little bit different now. So tell us how we can get a hold of your food in the current climate.
Yeah, so right now we're doing takeaway or delivery food. We change our family meal every day. So we have a few staples we keep. We do a falafel, we do a chicken sandwich, we do a soup, we do some desserts, and that kind of stays the same. It doesn't change. And then we do a family meal, a vegetarian and a protein, and that changes every day. And that's been actually really, we've got a big response from our neighborhood, and people in Oakland have been really supporting us on that. You can order it directly from our website, so www.magorestaurant.com, and you can order for takeout or pickup, or you can do through Caviar or Grubhub for delivery.
In addition, you can see the address there, magorestaurant.com.
Mm-hmm.
The IG for them is Mago Restaurant as well. And while you're online following Mago, also give us a follow at Dine Digital. We appreciate it. And did you have a dish that you could show off or any kind of food on hand?
I don't have a dishes. I can show you some produce that just came in.
Yeah, that's cool.
Or like,
so
yeah,
up your Instagram too. So you can do both.
What do we got? So we're doing some short ribs this weekend. So we got 100 pounds of short ribs that just came in. So we're doing that. And then today we're doing a Thai style shrimp soup. So we got some Thai chilies, some long beans, some shrimp, some lobster stock. So that's all gonna be for tonight.
Very cool. I'm sure it'll be very tasty and delicious. What I am going to do to help you show off some more of your dish is to pull up your Instagram, and I'm going to be quiet again, and then you can just kind of talk us through a couple of these dishes that I click on and let the people know what it's all about.
So this dish was carrots. So we got these really beautiful carrots, and we braised them in carrot juice with orange juice, thyme, and then we're serving it with chickpeas and some sugar snap peas. So we did this dish. It's actually the menu tonight, but it's probably the last night for it. This looks like cocktails. So we sell cocktails for delivery takeout. This is sangria. This looks like a mezcal hibiscus margarita we're making, which we just ran out of. So we're doing a different cocktail right now. So yeah, you can order cocktails for delivery or pickup through the same apps. So this is matzo ball soup. So we did a Passover menu during Passover. We did a version of like a Yemenite style chicken soup. So it's turmeric, cilantro, matzo balls, and then the usual carrot, celery, a little bit of turnip in there. This was an upside down pineapple cake that we grilled. This was a dessert we did for a family meal at some point, probably like about a week and a half ago. Like our family meal, like our desserts change every day too for our family meal. So we ran this for one day and that was it.
Very cool. Thanks for filling us in a little bit on some of the food that you guys have. And once again, that's Mago Restaurant for their Instagram and their website. So please go check that out. And we had a couple people bump in here, so we want to make sure that they get their time on screen. We have Dave Sopsek says, what influenced your taste in cooking? So it's a crowd question for you.
Okay, what was the question? Sorry, cut out a little bit.
What has influenced your taste in cooking from Dave?
A lot of things have influenced traveling is one of the things that has influenced my cooking over the years. So Dave is my father-in-law, actually. I'm his daughter, my wife, has influenced my cooking a lot. So we eat a lot of Korean food. She's half Korean. So Korean cooking has kind of like migrated into my food a little bit
right in there
over the years.
My wife's half Korean.
Yeah. So I think traditionally I was always like French, Italian, and over the years my cooking has become a little bit more influenced by Korea and Japan.
I love it. Korean food is probably my favorite type of
it's super delicious.
I love it. Timothy Zone, I don't know. Chef Mark, he said, and then he says, how much do you miss working with Tim? I guess that would be
I miss Tim a lot. Tim's a good guy.
Nice. Glad for you guys to jump on and say hello. And once again, One last question. I didn't get a chance to see if you had one, but we're going to
Mhm.
drop it on you right now. Do you have a pro tip as far as cooking or preparing food that you could share with our viewing audience today?
Um, Pro tip. I think a good tip that I always tell as I do cooking classes at the restaurant is try not to be anchored down by recipes. Try to learn a fundamental, like whether it's braising or roasting a chicken or making pasta dough. And then once you learn those fundamentals, you can really make a lot of different dishes from that. I think that's something important, especially during these pandemic times where sometimes you have leftovers in the fridge and you're not sure what to do with them. Like if you know how to like have fundamentally do some like simple techniques, you can really make a lot of different dishes out of those things.
Thanks for that wisdom. And so that pretty much wraps up our time together today. We're
Okay.
super psyched to have you as a part of the dish. And for everyone that's watching either live or on the recording, please support, especially if you're in the Oakland area, come out and support Mago and the other local businesses as much as you can during this time, and just all the time. Just do it. And
Yeah, thank you.
subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. Follow us, do all that stuff, because we're going to continue to have conversations with great restaurants and great people, and we're always excited to do that. So thanks again, Chef Mark from Marketer Mark, whatever. I don't have a cool not name actually, but thanks for coming in, and we'll see everyone later.
All right. Thank you.